Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Urban Wine Club webinar. We have a very, very special guest today. And actually, the product that he is bringing to the table is something that, I'm not super familiar with a lot of things, but this product is one that I'm really interested in learning more about because it's been part of my life for most of my adult life, and I really don't know much about it. So I'm really excited about the person we have today and what he's bringing to us to teach us and to demo. But before I say more, let me introduce our co-host, Stelios Stavrianos. Hello, Foti.
Yeah, so Ari, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And yes, as always, we're super excited for our guest and our show this evening. As you mentioned, you've been drinking lots of this during your adult life, but what about your college years and teenage years,
Absolutely, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
And it's one,
with,
and Foti, I'm not super familiar with a lot of spirits and wines, but I know, I'm learning and I'm learning and I'm learning. But this is still one of those things that it's a big part of my life, but I really, really don't know that much about it. So
excellent,
this is going to be really cool for me.
excellent. So, with us tonight, we have as we mentioned, a good friend and an interesting and fascinating fellow. We've done a series of different webinars with different spirits, and this is going to be our first vodka cocktail webinar. And when
Yes.
you think of vodka, you could think of in different ways. But our guest, let me introduce him because he has an interesting story. With us tonight, we're going to have Stelios Stavrianos, the founder and creator of Cylinder Vodka. Stelios, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We're super excited to have you and can't wait to hear all about your journey into creating this product and what you're doing with it as well.
Thanks, Foti, and thanks, Ari. Yeah, guys, I'm super excited to be here. I'm excited to, get our cocktail on and teach you a little bit about vodka and tell you about Cylinder, which is my baby. I started this from the
So
ground up.
you're the founder, and this is your product. This is your brand.
This is my product. Founder, master distiller, marketer, all of the above. This is me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Then why don't you,
So,
Stelio, take, yeah.
Foti, I was just going to say, can we throw some questions in? Because I just have a personal interest in learning
Well,
more about like the background and stuff like that.
absolutely. We would definitely want Celia to tell us, first of all, where it all began for him. Where was that, epiphany for you to create your product? And then after, tell us a little bit more about the product itself in vodka.
So it started when I was 19 years old. I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I want to be a bartender. It might have been, that Tom Cruise movie that got me into it. But I was always fascinated with bartenders in general. I wasn't old enough to drink yet, but I knew I wanted to be a bartender. So one Friday night, I walked into a local dive bar and literally begged my way into becoming a bartender at 19. And I just became fascinated with the industry, especially when we'd have brand reps come in and teach us different cocktails and buy us lunch and tell us about their product. I'm like, wow, this is a really fun industry. I think I might want to do this forever. And the more I got involved, the more cocktails I learned, the more I learned about the restaurant scene, the nightlife scene, and the more I started learning about spirits, I eventually became interested in understanding how spirits were made. And I was most interested to see if I myself could make these spirits. And vodka to me was one of those things where it was always like hard to drink. I always thought of vodka as like harsh, not very smooth. And so I studied the art of distillation for 3 years. And literally every single day, morning to night, obsessed over how to make spirits and learned how to distill and how to just the whole process involved in it. And three and a half years later, this was coming out of my still, this very same recipe, one sip. And I thought to myself, I need to bring this to the world. And that was 5 years ago, 6 years ago that happened. And
So
here we are today.
you look pretty young, Stelio, so I'm assuming you were like, what, 25?
I'm 32 now. So when when Cylinder first launched, I was 20, yeah, about 26, 27 when I first brought it to the market, and started distilling around, I think, 22, 23.
Did
My parents thought I was crazy. I bought a still off of Amazon, of all places, for $1,000, and just spent all my time in just in my basement, just distilling.
That's pretty impressive to be motivated like that and at a young age.
Yeah, I've always been pretty motivated. I started working when I was 14. I think 17, I had my own eBay store, just
Oh, wow.
selling stuff that I bought cheap and sold for more money. And I've always kind of been like very self-motivated, and always wanting to kind of do more and learn more. And so I guess that evolution from bartender to distiller, from I guess tending bar to tending still was a natural evolution.
And I'm sure, Stelio, that these projects aren't cheap to begin with. And, the thought is, a lot of these startups do raise a lot of money to get their product out. What was it like for you? Was this something that you kind of saved your money and just,
Oh man,
uh,
this is not something I talk about a lot, but it was rough. You got to imagine that, as a 23, 24-year-old, I was going out meeting people who, had, call it deep pockets, telling them of my vision, and hearing like, you're crazy. Like, this is never going to happen, or I don't believe in this project, or, good luck, kid. I ended up having to deplete my entire life savings. Like I said, I'd worked since I was 14 years old. I spent a long time in wealth management, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, and, junior level positions. I wasn't making millions, but what I was able to do is I saved up a lot of money in my 401k, and I had a pension, and push came to shove, and I had everything lined up. And last minute, I said, you know what? If no one's going to believe in me, I'm going to believe in myself. And I took every dollar from my savings account, 401k, pension, even maxed out every single credit card that I have to bring this company to life. So
wow.
So you're the true story of like that startup ethos, that whole like stories you hear of these people giving it all to start a dream, and you've actually done that. And that's pretty commendable. That's
yeah,
amazing.
thanks. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy,
Imagine, I can only
especially
imagine.
when it came to quitting my job years later,
So,
after, Cylinder became, popular, and started selling well. And I ended up having to quit my job, and just kind of do this full time. And going from making a salary to supporting yourself, and having to reinvest the money back into the business, it's tough,
Yeah.
but also at the same time, so incredibly rewarding.
and Stella, you mentioned before, like, you wanted to study and learn more about vodka. And out of all the spirits that you were exposed to as a bartender and what you worked with, why vodka?
I never had a favorite vodka. I always, when I was bartending, I always had a bourbon that I'd reach for. That was my favorite. I always had a favorite tequila, had a favorite gin. I had a favorite gin even though I didn't like gin. I was like, you know what? I know what gin my customers are gonna like, but I never could recommend a vodka that I liked.
Oh, okay.
And that's what kind of led me to, and again, vodka was always looked at as harsh and not easy to drink. Um and that's what led me to taking what was, an existing kind of mentality around vodka and trying to make it better.
Right. And to your point about that, unfortunately, with mass marketing and strategies, when we thought of vodka in the past, not recently, when you thought of quote unquote premium vodka, and I don't even know what that word premium really dictates back then, but people associated premium vodka with Grey Goose. And the marketing behind Grey Goose is what drove folks to spend that kind of money for overvalued vodka.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah, Grey Goose was the popular vodka back then. It was probably probably half of the call vodka was Grey Goose
Right.
back when I was bartending.
Yeah. Amazing. But here you are to change that. And trying your product, and I was very impressed in how smooth it is, and you're going to tell us all about it. Um, is that you spent your everything, You know, your background's impressive. You know, you've worked from some very reputable companies, just JP Morgan, you're in wealth management. Um, you know, you stepped away from all of that could have, who knows what would have done for your upcoming future. But, you know, what's in that front of us right now on that table is basically your future.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And
This alongside some really cool cylinder vodka based cocktails in a can that we're coming out with the next few months is definitely, it's my future. I definitely want to do alcohol for the rest of my life. It's just such an interesting industry, and it's ever evolving, as you know. You know, earlier you and I privately were talking about some really interesting barrel aged spirits that are coming out of Greece that I would have never thought would be fathomable, right? It never thought that someone would actually go out and age very traditional Greek spirits like that. And for that reason, it's a fun industry, and you know, I'm hoping to see some serious evolution in the industry for years to come for my company and for others out there.
excellent. And Stelio, before we get into the cocktail demoing, can you tell our audience real quickly, in a nutshell, what vodka is as a spirit?
Yeah, so vodka is, they say vodka is odorless, flavorless. It's a clear, almost completely neutral spirit. Typically, it comes from some kind of grain base ingredient. Sometimes it's wheat, sometimes it's corn. There's some grape vodkas out there, some potato vodkas. Cylinder is a corn vodka, so it's a non-GMO corn base. I early on experimented with every possible type of base ingredient. And by the way, you could make alcohol from anything that has any kind of starch, anything that has a carbohydrate. So I chose corn because for me it was a really great balance of a little bit of sweetness, very smooth, and you know, especially in the United States, corn is readily available. So it wasn't going to be, you know, thinking long term, it wasn't going to be like, you know, I imagined if I were to choose a French grape as a base ingredient, I might run into some trouble down the line if I couldn't get access to French grapes.
Right.
So for me, it made sense to use corn. And by far, corn had the smoothest flavor profile out of every ingredient that I played with. So cylinder is, the reason why it's so smooth is because it's a really good combination of quality ingredients. We buy really, really good quality corn, and where corn grows.
Yep.
And you know, the region, much like grapes grown in California versus you know, Argentina, the corn itself will have a different taste to it. So where we buy the corn from and who we buy the corn from makes a big impact on the flavor of the vodka. The types of stills that we use, the filtration technology, and the water cleaning technology that we use all plays a huge role in the final product. And we just use the best, that literally cut no corners in creating this product.
Excellent.
And
And
that's
you
why
mentioned,
it's just so incredibly smooth.
and you mentioned clean water. You guys actually do something for that, for cleaning water,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
explaining to
so-
us before, and it's really interesting. If you want to give us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'm like, to me, the environment's like super important. 60% of what's in here is actually more than 60 is water, right? Water is the probably the essential most ingredient in any cocktail. It's water is life, right? So I hold that cause very very close to my heart. For every bottle that we sell, we donate 5% of every dollar we make to cleaning local rivers and local oceans in the areas that we are supported in. So in Connecticut, we're cleaning the Long Island Sound, both with financial donations as well as my team kind of going out there and helping with the efforts. And now in Massachusetts, we are supporting the Boston Harbor in the same capacity. So for every bottle of cylinder sold in Massachusetts, we are taking 5% and helping support cleaning efforts of the Boston Harbor, which needs a lot of support
Yeah.
nowadays.
Oh,
That's amazing. That's
Save lives.
amazing.
Yeah.
And
And hopefully, you know, our long-term vision of that is, you know, eventually supporting even more, right? Eventually supporting the whole country and eventually, oh, and actually in 2017, we had a series of really bad natural disasters. You know, Hurricane Harvey, Puerto Rico, we had the Flint, Michigan water crisis. We donated thousands to each of those causes. And so the whole clean water movement is the central sort of giving back focus for us.
that's amazing. That's good for you. Good for you, and good for your responsible company. Real quick, the name Cylinder. Is there a story behind that?
Are we allowed to drink on this webinar?
Yes. This is a free for all. Don't worry.
You can do whatever you want.
So the name Cylinder, I mean, look at all these elements around us, right? They're mostly all cylindrical. The still that made Cylinder is a column still. It is cylindrical. Cylinder is the defining shape of our industry. It's the defining shape of what drives culture too. What drives some forms of architecture. So it was a huge inspiration for me. And it kind of just, it was very random how it came to me. And, you know, I almost thought like, this is like almost like a no brainer, right? The word cylinder it's in every glass, it's in every shaker, it's in every bottle, it's in every can. And it just made sense.
That's actually a really cool way of looking at it. I like that. That's very interesting.
Man, it blew my mind. I scoured the internet for, I wanted to make sure I wasn't, you know, stealing anyone's idea and stealing anyone's name. I scoured the internet for the word cylinder, and I couldn't find any beverage brand that was using it. So I was like, this is it. This is for me, it's a great name. It's easy to remember. And again, it signifies the source of where alcohol comes from.
Wow, that's really cool. I like that. Awesome. All right. So Foti, what do you think?
I have a quick question for us, Stelio, before you do. So
yeah,
how much vodka do you drink? Like how much? I mean, being that, I mean, I'm sure that you've got to taste your product over and over, and I'm sure you have to do a lot of things, but I'm sure you have your fair share of drinking it as well.
So I'm very, very specific on the cocktails that I like. I won't just drink vodka to drink vodka. I'm more cocktail centric than spirit focused. So, you know, my favorite cocktails are no judgment, right? The judgment free zone. I love a good lychee martini.
Oh.
I love a good Moscow Mule.
I
love a good Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I love a good old fashioned.
Oh,
so it kind of depends on my mood. But definitely my number one favorite cocktail ever is a lychee martini. If you guys ever had one, it's amazing. Yes. And kind of each cocktail kind of plays a role in like where I am and what I'm doing and my mood. And so yeah, I do a lot of vodka, but I also like wine. I love rye. I love a good rye. And I pretty much do, you know, if I'm out, I'll try a new cocktail here and there. It doesn't really have to be vodka.
Okay.
I'll try gin. I'll try pretty much anything.
Excellent. But you're not.
And I don't drink too much. I try to make it a thing to not
listen.
You know, because there's a stigma, right, about being in the alcohol industry, and
you know,
yeah,
with the times that we're in, it's okay to drink a little more. All right.
I definitely did some heavy drinking in 2020, but like you said, it's pretty sure everyone did, right? Yeah. There's nothing else to do.
So having said that, Stelio, you have prepared for us 3 amazing cocktails that you're going to demonstrate, which I'm super excited about. And you're going to be using some, you know, mixers, ingredients that we can talk about as well. But in the lineup, you're going to perform and demonstrate 3 cocktails, right? We're going to do a honey mule tonight, a Cosmo,
honey mule,
right, and a lemon drop.
Yep.
Right. So I'm gonna hand it over to you to do all 3 in the lineup, but you let us know where you want to start.
You know, the honey mule. I was playing around with the Cheeky syrups that I got from you.
Awesome.
And Cheeky makes a honey syrup, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? And I thought maybe I play around with it in a mule form, and it came out so great. And so that's the first cocktail I want to make today.
Awesome.
I'm drinking it in here, but I will make a fresh one so everyone can watch along and take some notes on how to make this. You're gonna want to start with a Moscow Mule mug. A Moscow Mule mug is a Moscow Mule was invented in New York. It's not a Russian drink.
They lied to us.
The reason why we use, sorry,
They lied to us. It wasn't in Russia.
it wasn't. No, not to my knowledge. No.
Okay.
Actually, the Smirnoff company invented the mule.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why we use a copper mule mug is because it keeps the drink super cold. And so, I mean, for a cold drink, there's nothing better than making sure your drink stays cold. So we're gonna keep traditional and use a Moscow Mule for this. Moscow Mule mug. Now, for ingredients, you're gonna want your vodka, obviously, cylinder vodka. You're gonna want your cheeky honey syrup. You're gonna want lime juice, and you're gonna want ginger beer. It doesn't really matter what kind of ginger beer you're using. Today we're using Regatta. It's my favorite. And again, lime juice and honey syrup. For bar tools, which, there are a lot of really important factors in cocktails. For me, one of the most important is what kind of bar tools are you using? If you think of, if any bakers or cooks out there, a good pan, a good pot, some good cooking cookware is, makes all the difference in cooking and baking. So for me, a good set of cocktail shakers is really important. You want a jigger. A jigger is a measuring tool. Kind of going back to the cooking and baking thing. Cooking, you can eyeball some stuff, but if you're a baker, if you are off with a few dashes of an ingredient, your whatever you're baking is going to be a mess. Same thing with cocktails. You really want to make sure that you are measuring everything accordingly. And so a jigger allows you to do that. Most jiggers have two sides to a jigger. One is traditionally 2 ounces to 1.5 ounces. The other side is going to be about sometimes half an ounce, sometimes an ounce. So we have our jigger. We have a strainer. There are 2 types of strainers. There's a julep strainer and a hawthorn strainer. So we are using our strainer. And we also have a bar spoon. We're not going to use one today, but it is also an essential ingredient for making cocktails. And this is what you'd use to stir a cocktail if you were to be doing a stirred cocktail. So those are your essential bar tools, and we're gonna get started. So we're gonna build our cocktail in the small tin, large tin. And the reason why you wanna build in the small tin is because if you overflow the small tin, you're gonna know, you know what the volume is in the small tin. If you're building in the large tin and you put your small tin on top, you might overflow and it might kind of spill everywhere. So you always want to start with your small tin, and you always want to start with your sort of cheapest ingredient first. That way, if you mess up, you're not wasting your most expensive ingredient. So let's see on our list, our cheapest ingredient is going to be the lime juice. So you have an ounce of lime juice. And then we have our honey syrup. We are going to do an ounce of honey syrup. Now we have ginger beer and cylinder vodka. The ginger beer you're going to want to put at the very end on top of the Moscow Mule after you've already poured the ingredients into it, because you never want to shake anything carbonated.
Oh, okay.
So we are going to do 2 ounces of cylinder vodka. All right. You also want to add ice in at the very end. If you were to put in your lime juice, put in all your ingredients over ice, and then walk away and come back, your drink would have melted and it'd be mostly water. So we always want to add our ice at the very end, just before we're about to shake. Get a good seal on there, make sure it doesn't spill out. Shake. Excellent. Go ahead and strain that into our Moscow Mule mug. Excellent. I'm going to top it with ice. And now we're going to crack open our ginger beer and fill it to the top. And that's it.
Oh, I wish I had
Cheers.
one. Just looking at all those ingredients.
So give us
Oh,
the
that is
yeah, I was
excellent.
gonna say like give us the flavor profile.
So in a normal Moscow Mule, you'd have all these ingredients, but instead of honey syrup, you'd use a simple syrup. Some people sub it out for some other ingredients if they want to make it a twist on the Moscow Mule, but normally it'd be just everything in here minus the honey. The honey just adds it. It's very interesting.
Texture, maybe?
It adds some like very like an intricate taste to it. Like honey. I mean, it's there's no other way to explain it. It's really, really good.
Nice.
Definitely, probably, if you're gonna do a twist on a Moscow Mule, and you don't want to kind of go too far from the traditional one, this would be the way to go for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really good.
How far is he,
Save that for
Forky?
later.
Can we head over there to get some drinks?
Well, we're gonna book him for our next party.
I'm going to be in Boston next week, so we'll meet up
Oh.
and I'll make you some cocktails.
Oh, there you go.
How's that?
Beautiful.
And then Stelio, in case you happen to visit the DC area, so Ari's gonna be in DC. So if you have any,
Ari's in DC.
yes.
Okay, good to know. All right. Let me dump this ice. All right, so the next one is another classic. I am making a Cosmo because you really can't go wrong with it. It's a very well-balanced cocktail. It's super delicious, and if you make it right, it's some people don't like too sweet. Some people don't like too bitter. I mean, it's really just so well-balanced. A lot of people, I think the cocktail was made popular by Sex and the City.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people think Cosmo and they think it's a very feminine drink. This is one of my favorites. So I encourage everyone out there, definitely make this at home. You're going to want a martini glass for this. And we are going to build the cocktail the same way we built the Moscow Mule, but we're just not going to put any ice in the drink. So we're going to build our cocktail in the small tin, starting with the cheapest ingredient first, shake and strain into the martini glass. So let's see, we have cylinder vodka, cranberry syrup, lime juice, and triple sec. You can also use any kind of orange-based liqueur. You can use Cointreau, triple sec. So we're going to start with the lime juice because that is the cheapest ingredient of this list. So we're going to do 1/2 ounce of lime juice. We're going to do 1 ounce of cranberry syrup. I'll use cheeky cranberry syrup for this. Then we're going to use our orange liqueur. Actually, we're using Cointreau for this. We're going to do, let's see, 1/2 ounce of Cointreau. And then 2 ounces of cylinder. All right. You're gonna add in your ice.
So Stelio, do you get stuck making the drinks when you host at home?
Every single time, no matter where I am, I'm the one making the drinks. So when I go out and I get to sit down, order a nice drink, and kind of just have someone else make me a cocktail, it's the best. Yeah, I'm definitely the resident mixologist everywhere I go.
Beautiful.
It's a blessing and a curse to know how to make a good cocktail.
Oh, nice color.
Just the sound tastes good.
That
Cheers,
looks,
guys.
cheers, looks very good.
Cheers.
Oh wow, that is delicious. That cranberry syrup is very good. It definitely makes this Cosmo better than a regular cylinder Cosmo, which says a lot.
Okay, that's good to know.
Have you guys tried cylinder neat with
Yes.
no any
Just
yeah.
neat. And I,
Yeah, so we've won over, I think it's 55 double and triple blind taste tests, and we've won over 25 gold medal, platinum medals, and consumer choice awards in the last few years. So that's just a testament to just how smooth cylinder is, and that that's why it complements any cocktail you make with it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, Stelio, because when I tried cylinder, the first thing was the immediate sensation of smoothness is what hit me right away.
Yeah, I actually the first year I started distilling, right, and kind of learning that whole process, and when I kind of knew what I knew what my baseline was, because I went out and I tasted probably over 100 vodkas. I bought nips, I bought large bottles, medium size. I mean, I tasted so many that when this came out of the still, I'm like, I said a swear word when I tasted it. I'm like, holy,
You can say
like
the
this
swear
is.
word.
I remember where I was. I was in my apartment, and I had distilled in my basement. I had several batches, and at that point I'd already moved out, but can't really bring a still into an apartment, right? So I'd go back and forth to my parents' house, and I had a few batches, and I think maybe 3 of them, and the third one I tasted and I go, holy shit, this is it. That's exactly what I said.
Wow.
And that's what's in here.
Well, when you were describing it earlier, how you never had a favorite vodka because sometimes they're too harsh or they have like that kind of taste, that struck me because that's always been my issue with vodka, and that's why, honestly, like cylinder is so good, and that's like it's absolutely my new go-to because everything you're saying is 100% accurate. It's exactly how I felt when I tasted it and how I feel when you put it in any sort of mix.
I have one comment to make real quickly, that it's so smooth that for me it's a little dangerous. I
Totally.
because I think not too long ago, not to kind of get too personal, but we were having, we were sipping on cylinder, and it wasn't long before we realized like where the bottle went. So that's the only
Yeah.
that's the only thing I could say about, it's so smooth that you're really, you get lost in how good it tastes and how good it feels, right? Because you mentioned in the beginning how vodka can be so harsh depending on how it's made.
Yeah.
And this has nothing close to being harsh.
Yeah, but hopefully most of the people, Foti, who are drinking this are responsible, unlike you. So they're not going to have that problem.
Well, here's the
They just
problem.
enjoy the taste.
How irresponsible can we be when we're stuck at home?
True.
I'm happy to hear that, people are out there getting vaccinated. There's a little sign here that says, let's stay home. Hopefully I can turn that off and we all start going out
Yeah.
soon, and kind of life opens back up and we could start enjoying these cocktails,
Absolutely.
out in the real world.
Absolutely.
Guys,
Cheers
we're on
to
our last
that.
cocktail. We are on a lemon drop martini.
Mm.
Now, this is super good. There's several ways to make it. The way I'm making it is typically you'd have a loaded amount of sugar inside the cocktail because you're loading an acid in the cocktail as well, an acidic ingredient like lemon, and you want to balance that out, right? You don't want it too sour, you don't want it too sweet. So what I'm doing is I'm putting just a little bit of sugar inside the cocktail in the form of simple syrup, and then putting a sugar rim on the end, on the rim of the martini glass. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna do an ounce of lemon, an ounce of simple syrup, which is just a 50-50 mixture of water and sugar, and then 2 ounces of cylinder. What are your guys' favorite cocktails?
I'm a big fan of like mules for, you know, all the different variations of mules. I love old fashions. I love Manhattans. I love mojitos as well.
Mojito's great.
Paloma.
You know, it's funny. I used to always drink vodka sodas just because I didn't want to put lots of like, tonics and whatnot. But again, some of those vodkas, they always got to me. And a vodka soda, which is so simple, so plain, but with cylinder, oh, so refreshing.
It's his afternoon beverage.
Yeah.
I love a good mojito too. I'm not a fan of vodka sodas because I feel like, no offense, sorry, but I feel like it just, for me, the purpose of a cocktail is the intricacy of the ingredients and picking up new flavors and maybe experimenting with some different syrups or different liqueurs.
Yeah.
For me, the vodka soda is kind of like,
you're 100% right. And I've had a long history of drinking the fruitiest, like sweetest drinks. And I think after a couple of years, it just got to me. And now I'm just looking for something that's so like plain and simple without.
Ari, be honest. It's the calories you're looking at.
That too, yeah.
It is. You know what? A vodka soda is good for that. It's a very low calorie drink. So for those of you out there who are watching your calories, definitely vodka soda is a way to go.
But how about just vodka by itself? There's low calories in just vodka by itself.
Yeah, but I mean, I still need something that's gonna make it fizzy.
Yeah. All right, so really quick, so we did, for those of you out there who are mixing along, we're doing an ounce of lemon, an ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of cylinder with a sugar rim.
In a martini glass.
So you want to always shake until the outside of the shaker is really, really cold. And personally, I like to use a Boston shaker. It's a 2-piece set. It's the most professional type of shaker. The other shaker that you see with a little top, right, 3-piece set, that top usually freezes on so hard that you have to kind of like bang it to get it off.
Yeah.
So this shaker is the Boston shaker. Is just it's easier for that reason. It's much easier to get off. What you want to do is after you create that seal, you want to squeeze down at your 12 o'clock and your 6 o'clock and hit it on the side where there's the most space, and that'll kind of release the small tin from the large tin. You want to give it a good whack.
Oh, okay.
So that's just the easiest way to separate the two.
Okay. Let's see. Very nice. Man, I wish we were in the same room.
I wish I could send you this cocktail.
I know
like,
that
virtually.
That's
now
the next technology to make.
Now I have 4, right? I have 2 of the mules, I have a Cosmo, and I have a lemon drop. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Wow. And you break it down so
oh my God.
Easy.
That is so good. That's so good. I haven't had a lemon drop martini in probably a year, and that is just really good. It's like an adult lemonade.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, Ari, just take a look how quickly it was for Stelio to demonstrate these three great cocktails with very basic natural ingredients, and within minutes, you have a world-class cocktail that you would spend tons of money at a good bar or a good restaurant.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's so
And
true.
and
Yeah,
I
and
could
with
bet
the
you
syrups
that,
too.
yeah, and I could bet you what Stelios just made right there, I would like way more than 99% of the bars out there.
Right, right. Well, I think
You
a
know,
lot of us are a little intimidated when it comes to making cocktails and kind of overthinking, what does it take? But these demonstrations like really put it out there of like how easy it is to produce a cocktail that takes, a few steps, key ingredients, a couple tips and techniques, and there you have it.
Yeah.
if you were to take away every one of these tools, obviously they're all essential, and another huge essential component to a good cocktail is you want to have good ice. I know that sounds weird, but
Mhm.
good quality ice that doesn't break apart and dilute too quickly makes a huge
So,
difference. But
do you have-
the key to creating a good cocktail is measurement, right? If you have a list of ingredients and you're not measuring, your cocktail won't be good, right? And that's why when you go from one bar to the next and you have your favorite spot because they make the best, they make the best mojito, or they make the best old fashioned, that's because they are either measuring or not measuring, right? So when you follow these ingredients, this simple recipe, if you just measure it, it'll be good 10 out of 10 times. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So the takeaway: good ice and good measurements
And good
And
vodka.
and good vodka.
vodka.
But I know I've noticed, Stelio, pre-COVID, I was noticing how more and more cocktail bars and restaurants were really enforcing the bar staff and bartenders to use jiggers. And prior to that, I noticed a lot of free pouring. But lately, I see that there's a change in that, at least in
Yeah,
Boston.
I mean, that's for two reasons. I think the biggest reason that bars want that is for cost, right? Because if you're free pouring vodka and this bottle costs you, $30 to buy, as a bartender, you're wasting the bar's money. But then a smart manager, a smart bar manager will have their bartenders using a jigger and measuring so that if a customer likes a drink, they know that they can go there 7 days a week, no matter who's working, that cocktail will always be the same every single time.
Right.
And that's key, right?
Yeah. Great point.
Awesome.
Guys, this lemon drop is probably my favorite of the three.
Out of the three.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So then you can just give the Cosmo and the mule to me then. This for me is refreshing to hear the story, to understand when the work that you put into this, and the fact that you're producing what I consider high quality production at a great rate.
Now that you mentioned that, we have two quick questions. If I could just shoot them over to you, Stelio.
Yeah.
What ingredients do you use to make your vodka?
So the only ingredient we use, we don't use any sort of additives. It's 100% non-GMO corn.
Okay, yeah, I remember you mentioned that, but I want to make sure.
Corn, water, yeast. That's really it.
And
but from an ingredient standpoint, it's 100% non-GMO corn sourced from the Midwest.
Is it gluten-free?
It's naturally gluten-free. Yep.
Nice.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So we don't remove the gluten. There's never any gluten that goes into the product.
Amazing. All right, Foti,
Yeah,
is
so
there
for anyone out there who's interested in gluten-free products, this is certified gluten-free.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure
So
a lot of people.
We've got the non-GMO going. We've got the gluten-free going. We've got no additives going. We've
He's
got
the
clean water
water
going. I mean, why would you not want to drink this?
And it's smooth and it's good.
For our audience that's listening tonight, Cylinder Vodka is available on our platform for sale. You know, there's free shipping. We ship all over the country. We also have the cheeky products, which are the great natural mixers in the syrups and juices that can go along. You can purchase those a la carte, but we highly encourage you to definitely, you know, it's a support factor for sure to support. You know, we're going to be a little biased here, Stelio. Greek Americans, you know, we love to support each other, and you know,
Absolutely.
I was fascinated about your story as a Greek American out of New England, because we're New Englanders ourselves. You know, Connecticut. You're still probably New England Patriots fan, right? Because you're in New England, and we love the support factor. But besides that, you know, the truth is you're putting out what I believe, in my opinion, is a world-class product.
Mhm.
And I would definitely, you know, now feel confident. I would bet you could put your product blindly up against all the quote unquote high end quality vodkas that are in the market today. And yours will be right up there with them as well. And I think you deserve the recognition. I think you deserve the chance where people need to try your vodka.
Thanks, Foti. That's really kind of you to say. Yeah, I mean, you know, to touch on the whole Greek factor, you know, I'm Greek, you're Greek. We definitely got to support one another. But beyond that, you know, for anyone out there who isn't Greek, who's on this webinar, you know, it's about quality ingredients. And at the end of the day, if you're out there and you want to make a cocktail at home and you want that bar quality experience, you're going to want a quality spirit. You're going to want quality ingredients, and that starts with a quality spirit like Cylinder.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
How about Stelio? Can you tell our audience, if they want to learn more information about you, your story, you want to give us your web address, your handles, so people
Definitely.
can follow you?
Yeah. So website, actually everything is just cylindervodka.com. So cylindervodka.com, at cylindervodka on Facebook, at cylindervodka on Instagram, and we tweet here and there if you want to follow us on Twitter too.
Cool. And
I will also link up all of that in when we post this as a video and as a podcast. So we just want to let everybody out there know. Number one, thank you so much for joining us and for taking this journey with us, and either you know, experiencing something you've had before, or if you haven't, learning about an amazing product from a pretty amazing guy. And Stelio, we want to say thank you so much for being with us, taking the time. And we want to thank everybody out there for watching, listening. This is going to be in video format and as a podcast. So if you missed it, you still have plenty of time to catch up with it. The products are out there. Try this vodka, people. I truly, truly stand by it. And we want to just say thank you again. Stelio, awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And I definitely
Appreciate
want to just sign off, and also thanks to our recent sponsor, Greekazon, who's making us part of this as well. So we want to mention them as well, because Greekazon also has a wine and spirit section that also will feature Cylinder vodka. Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. So Stelio, before we go real quickly, anything you want to leave us with as a preview, or anything in the pipeline for Cylinder that you just want to kind of throw out there real quick, if you're able to say so? If you're not, then that's okay.
All right, I am. So to touch on the first cocktail we made was a honey mule. Part of the reason why I was a little partial in making that cocktail first is because in just a few short months we will be launching a Greek honey infused Cylinder vodka.
Whoa.
And it is superb.
Oh, that's
So,
going to be
all right. So
on the rocks, neat. It is excellent, and I've tested it with 20 or so cocktail recipes, and it goes in anything.
if you need more testers, let us know.
I'll send you the first bottle that comes out of the
perfect.
That's
Perfect.
awesome.
All right, so we're going to be on the lookout for that.
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Stelio.
Thanks again,
Thanks, guys.
Stelio. We can't wait.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank
Cheers.
you. And we can't wait for your new product. Try Cylinder Vodka. It's amazing. Thanks everybody out there for watching, listening. We will see you next time. This is Ari with my co-host Foti. We want to thank Stelios. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
See you guys.